John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Gavin. Thanks for making me let me be here.
Little wonky start there. I hit the wrong button to start, and then it's just everything's live. Oh God, so much pressure. But you know what? If CNN and Fox and all those news channels can constantly have dead air and all this stuff, we're fine for a few seconds. John, we're here today to talk about the film that you are not only involved in, but wore many hats on, Kevin and Winnie, which everybody out there can watch on Reveel'd right now. I am a fan of a two-hander drama. That is something that I have made a few of myself as a filmmaker, but also a massive fan of movies like the Before Sunrise trilogy, movies like Blue Valentine, just Marriage Story, just very, very, very raw, intimate movies following two people's relationship. And I really think you guys nailed it with this movie. So in your own words, tell people what this film is about so that I don't butcher it.
Oh my God, I feel like I butcher every time. It's about two people who are soulmates, and they have to deal with, a very hard, I guess, thing that's going on. That sounds wrong, but they have to deal with something that's going to happen to them, and it's about how Winnie has to deal with it actually overall, and it's about, I guess, the power of being together. You're muted. You're muted.
Look at me, just messing everything up there. Well, for all the lip readers out there, I hope you enjoyed that section. You are on this, correct me if I'm wrong, the writer, producer, at least one of the producers, the cinematographer, and the editor. That's the four. Okay.
And I kind of did some color, but technically my friend Mark, who says he didn't do anything on the film, he actually helped and was kind of supervising me with the color because he knows more about that than I do, and I didn't want to screw this movie up. So
I always ask this question because I, being a sort of multi-hyphen myself, what did you start with? What did you enter this business as, and then where did the shift take you to take on other roles?
I've always wanted to be a cinematographer, and basically the writer and producer role for Kevin and Winnie is really a first, I would say, for me, especially for writing this, even though I did make a film a few months prior to that called Oh No, but that was kind of improv and based on real life of what happened to me. So I really got into writing just because of a light from that I bought, and that's what inspired me to make Kevin and Winnie. So I still call myself a DP and a cinematographer, and I do my normal 9-to-5 job is I edit video for a YouTuber in Vegas.
Oh wow, that must keep you busy because from what I understand, YouTubers are on the clock, weekly content, constant content.
Yes.
That also must teach you as an editor to really think on the fly, because I did some editing for she was an Instagram star that started a YouTube channel, and I was her editor for a while. And it's like, just the quick cuts and the amount of stuff you have to edit to keep things interesting and to constantly not make every video feel like it's the same. It was a great education in how to edit essentially the same video every week, but keep it feeling fresh and different.
Oh yeah, that's totally a thing I'm learning, because narrative filmmaking and editing, there's a slower pace to it depending on the story and stuff like that, but still there's a slower, pace. But with that, it's more or less like quick cuts and all that stuff too, and just like you said, figuring out rhythm.
We don't like to spoil anything on the show in case people haven't seen the short film, but I do like the way that this is structured, where you're bouncing between early days and earlier moments in their relationship, and then this very heavy, weight that's been put upon their relationship. It's really interesting because it just makes, to me, it feels so much more tragic that because I remember at one point it cut away and there was this beautiful little conversation happening, and then it cut back and went, oh wait, they're dealing with this. I almost forgot in those few minutes of reprieve. Was it always scripted that way, or is that something you decided in editing?
So that's actually the 5th version of the script. The first version, how it all started, like I said, it all started from a light shining that inside my house. and getting inspired to make this film by just a scene of a husband telling his wife, I guess spoilers, I'm sorry, he's gonna die, and her and him dealing with that. And then from Kevin and Winnie, when I sent it to my friend, I apologize. When I sent it to my friend, he was like, "Yo, there needs to be more." And from that, we kept adding. So every version I was sending him, he was like, "Yes, more, more, more." So by the fifth one, we had that all. Actually, what you saw in the movie is how it was scripted in the screenplay.
Was when you say it all got inspired by a light that you purchased and we're testing and shining through a window, does it happen to be the scene where she's in the corner with the beautiful sort of slatted light coming through?
No, it was actually the light inspired the downstairs scene stuff.
Okay.
So them sitting at the bench and stuff like that. So I'm gonna shout out Nanlight real quick.
Yeah.
Nanlight Forza 200. Because I used to work for the news and I was trying to find a light to work for the morning show, right?
Okay.
So I was like, let me buy this 200-watt light. Let me see how strong it is for that 630 sun. I got it, tested it, went outside, shined it through my window downstairs, and I was like, movie idea, and that's how it came to be.
That's so random. It's often, I think, tech sometimes inspires movies, like the camcorder, the home camcorder inspired the Blair Witch Project. Let's do something different. But I can't say I've ever heard specifically that a light, and just by simply turning the light on and pointing it at something, inspires somebody to make a movie. So you might be a first in that. You're
Yes, I mean,
I was gonna say, what's your approach to cinematography? How do you decide? A lot of our audience are just film viewers. They're not
yeah.
filmmakers. So what's the sort of psychology and the process that you take when you're developing how to give a look to a film, be it the lighting direction or sort of the shot selection as well?
I personally just try to go for as much realism as possible. I mean, that's what I go for. I go for what seems real to me and what would make the most sense. Like those downstairs scenes, I was trying to emulate as close as possible what it looks like in my house at like 5:30 in the morning, 6 in the morning, or like, and just seeing where that light would be. Because I know working at 4 o'clock in the morning, because I used to work 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. Sorry, I knew around like 5 o'clock that light's, because we have a south facing sun in the house.
Mhm.
I knew that light would be over there, kind of like that. So we tried to, as closely as possible, emulate that. I just go for realism. I go for what people see through their eyes.
I feel that most people don't understand how difficult it is to recreate perfect lighting scenarios and things that are natural. Recreating natural light to me is always the art form. You can make anything look like sci-fi. You can make anything look
Yeah.
like it's fantasy. Lots of haze and smoke and shine lights through trees for horror. But just recreating everyday life, I think, is that's the invisible art of cinematography, where you don't even draw attention to it. Obviously, somebody like Roger Deakins gets a lot of attention with, oh, look, Blade Runner 2049. Look how amazing and beautiful and stylized it is. But you watch a movie, I don't know, like The Breakup with Jennifer Aniston. You're like, that took a lot too, to light all those
Yeah.
bedroom scenes and kitchen scenes and front yard scenes that
Mhm.
you just assume they're filming in the sun, but it's like, no, they're creating a fake sun so they can keep it consistent. So I
Yes.
don't think enough credit goes out to cinematographers when it's something that just appears simpler to us, or an everyday kind of approach.
Yeah.
Was this film shot in Las Vegas, where you're based?
Yes. 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 It was.
So tell me about the process of casting your two actors. I quite enjoyed their performances.
All right. Here's the story. I literally said to my friend George, who's the director, I was like,
Mhm.
George, uh, Jordan and Brenna, they never met before. I'm like, let's get Jordan. He's a good actor,
Mhm.
but we need like someone who's gonna elevate him. Brenna. They said yes. They met for the first time at the table read. It was magic. I couldn't ask for anything better.
Had you worked with them both separately as actors on projects?
So Brenna, I worked with on a previous project about this 2022 in 2016, so 6 years ago, almost 7 years ago, on one project, and then Jordan, I met him through George, the director, and we actually met before on my podcast, and that's
Mhm.
how we met that time, and we wanted to work together. So yeah,
I mean, I think both their performances are good. I especially think when you have to do those big emotional moments in a movie, and I always find it interesting. They've read the script so they know what's coming, but having to build and the nuances of taking that bad news on camera, I think is an art form. Because for me, I would have to be surprised with that information. Being I'm a terrible actor, so I wouldn't be able to do it. But I think the ability to do that take after take when you already know where the story's going, what the outcome's going to be, is something that again maybe people don't get enough credit for, and I think she did a wonderful job in this movie, and also just the hardship for Kevin's character delivering that news to somebody that you love so much. Like
Yeah.
I haven't been faced with any sort of tragic news to deliver like that to a loved one, but it definitely made me think, boy, if I was in those shoes, what would the approach be? Like how long would I even take to work up the courage and have the heart to destroy someone's life by having to
Yeah.
deliver simple news. Did you do a lot of rehearsal, or did you try to save a lot of the magic for when you were rolling the camera?
We met for one day, and that was the table read where we all got together. And at that table read, I think it was either the second or third version. So I was just sending them scripts after that, like two more versions of the scripts. They must have been like really annoyed with me because I'm like, I added this. Oh, I added this. But it was, but I was told they were going to try to meet prior from filming, like before we filmed again, after table read before we filmed, and they never got the chance to it. So they kind of went like again meeting for the second time and just kind of doing it on the spot there.
Now, you're making such a heavy drama. I've got a few of those in my past too. People don't think that there could be a blooper reel or any funny stories that come from set, but is there a comedic story about the making of this film in any aspect?
I think one of the funniest and weirdest thing actually happened on the outside scenes in our backyard when they're drinking the drinks. We're outside, we're filming, and I'm pretty sure like a neighbor down the block screamed something like uh, something about the penis, and I was like, we're like, what the hell's going on? And then another time, we're all on walkies, and all of a sudden, like someone came on our walkie frequency. I'm like, just change to two, guys. So like that's the only funny parts about the set. To be honest, it
Yeah.
was pretty like standard. Like we were all focused that those 2 days.
And are these all locations, besides your house, which I assume you shot in? Are these all locations, the park and such that you know and frequent in your everyday life?
So here's the crazy about the park. So that park was actually a second location. That wasn't even our first location. We originally wanted to film in Lake Las Vegas, which is like about 30 minutes from where I live. It's a little further from the strip, and it's like this nice little like it feels like an Italian like villa type thing. And there's a lake, and we were gonna have them walk around. And I reached out to Lake Las Vegas, and they're like, "We want your business license, we want insurance." And I was like, "Okay, I'll do those things for you." And then I was like, "Hey, can we still film here?" They're like, "Well, we have to talk to the board." And literally the day before we started filming, they said no. But before that too, I had a feeling in the back of my mind, and I was like, "We need to find somewhere else." And me and George went location scouting, and I knew about this park because I went there for my job when I worked at the news for an event. And we went there, and I forgot it had that sign that said "It all starts here." And we're like, "This is it. This is where we need to be." So if Lake Las Vegas doesn't work out, we're using this park no matter what. So that's how the park became the park.
And for the audience that hasn't watched the movie, and I always recommend to people watch the movie first and then come and join
Yeah.
these chats. But the All Stars here, it took me a good 30 seconds. I'm like, either this is really good visual effects that they place this in, or this is the most bizarre because it has sort of the location marker from a
Yeah.
map, Google Maps, and it's huge. It's like 6 feet tall and 12 feet wide. Do you know the origin of that sign?
No, I just know like it's there at the park. I never like really. I think that park's been there for a couple years now. I think it's a newer park, if I'm not mistaken, because that whole section over there is like just they're building houses and stuff like that. So I don't live over there. My parents do.
Yeah.
So like I've passed by. I mean, passed by there a few times, but I never really thought about that until I'm like, perfect.
I thought perhaps like maybe it's the beginning of some famous trail that goes across 7 states or something, but
Nope,
yeah.
there's no trail. It's just I think maybe that's where it all. I mean, it makes no sense where it all starts there because like the cadence section, like because it's called cadence that
Mhm.
area, like cadence doesn't start there. It actually starts a little before that park. So I'm like, wait, that makes no
Maybe it's where the
sense.
founder of that town first put a
I,
stake in the ground, like, I don't know.
yeah, I
I'm
don't
I'm
know.
I'm gonna Google it after
Yeah,
we're done here,
yeah. If you know the answer, please tell me because I'm
yeah.
now curious.
It'll be that, you learn something every day. This will be
Yeah,
my thing. I haven't learned anything yet today. Well, you know what you should have done with your first location? You know the trick to independent filmmaking, right? Shoot first, ask permission later, ask
I,
forgiveness later. Yeah.
I know, but I want to be proper. I didn't want to like have a bad name with like anyone or get in trouble because I didn't want to roll up to Lake Las Vegas 7 deep and
Hmm.
go start filming with like lights and all that stuff, and then like they have to cancel, like they kick us out, and then
Yeah.
I'm screwed for that location. So I was like, let me just do everything right.
Especially since some of your park shoot is at night and
Yeah,
yeah, setting up lights, that's where it becomes troublesome. You can get away with a small DSLR camera and a crew and in
yeah,
the daytime just look like anyone else with an iPhone filming or a
yeah,
vlogger. But yeah, those nighttime shoots are harder to hide and pull off guerrilla style.
yeah,
So I had a question. You talk about working for the news, and obviously that would take you to all sorts of locations. Was that
yeah.
an amazing way to be in a location scout where you're just constantly inspired for film ideas everywhere you went?
You know, a lot of places feel look the same here in Vegas, but like I was inspired by a few places, but at the same time, it's working for the news is such a blur because like especially working the morning show. Um, the most beautiful thing I've seen though is the sunrises in Vegas. I have to say that's like the greatest thing. I love watching those and seeing those, even though I like sleeping in now. But I did see some cool locations in my time there, but I don't always remember where they were exactly.
What's the what's the biggest comparison? What's the most similar between shooting and planning and producing for the news and shooting a narrative movie?
Well, there there is no planning. I feel like because in the news it's just go go go, like
Mhm.
just go and do it, and you don't really prepare for those things because you have to be prepared for every situation, right? So like that's why we're not using small DSLRs. I feel like we're using bigger cameras with ND filters already on them,
Yep.
and like we have like actual like better audio equipment because we have to have like that really good sound,
Yep.
and even like just in general, breaking news is huge. Like you wouldn't last with a DSLR and 2 batteries if you're there all day and streaming and stuff like that. Sorry.
No problem.
Oh,
You're
Adobe
here.
Flash just came out. Yeah,
Yeah.
out of
Oh,
nowhere.
why wouldn't you get an update in the middle of an
Yeah,
interview? Yeah.
always happens when I don't use this laptop ever. But planning for narrative is like strategizing for war. I feel like because you have to plan
Mm.
for everything and communicate with everyone. So there's a big difference. And an old job I learned because I used to help a guy vlog and stuff like that. I learned to clarify to verify, something Tony Robbins says, and that's why I put into my film productions now,
Okay.
clarifying and verifying everything. Pre-planning, pre-production is major key.
That's how the sauce is made. The more you
Yeah.
pre-produce and clarify and verify everything, the less problems you'll have on set, and then you can just be there to be relaxed and creative without all that
Yep.
additional stress. So many independent filmmakers just jump into the fire, and that's like you say, using your war comparison. That's the same as like just running out of your bunker, screaming at the top of your lungs, hoping you're going running in the right direction towards the enemy, but not necessarily the best strategy to win the battle, let
Yeah.
alone the war.
Yeah. Maybe what was it? Art of War. You should all read Art of War if you're a filmmaker. I feel like.
Yeah, and then you should also read the other book if you've ever read it, the War on Art, or the War of Art, and
I never know. I did not know this.
it's a book about how to conquer your inner demon of procrastination and fear of failure. And I read this book on a beach years ago, and I remember
Yeah.
like reading a page and then kind of like, is this a prank? Did somebody write this book about me specifically? Because this book is talking to me.
Wow.
It was great. It's one of the greatest reads, and I keep it on my I don't keep a ton of books on my shelf, but there's those 4 or 5 where I'm like, I'm going to read it again. I'm going to read it
Yeah.
again.
Oh,
Well,
you
we
got
try
me.
to
You
keep
got me on that
these
one.
things. We try to keep these things relatively short because we're already longer than your movie is, which is the greatest reason that all of you out there at home should go watch Kevin and Winnie on Reveal, reveal.net, 100% free. Sign up for an account, get to watch all kinds of great movie content, and you don't have to pay a fee monthly. You just get to watch a bunch of great movies like Kevin and Winnie that you've heard about here, or in reverse, if you went to go watch the movie, thank you. And now you're here learning the story of how it was made. But John, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
You
you.
wore 4 hats on this project, probably more that aren't even in the credits, but you did them all very admirable.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Have a good day.